Wimberley says they are in desperate need of supplies, just basic supplies like blankets, basic first aid materials, and then anything that you can donate to the Red Cross relief efforts for food. Right now we are looking at a live rescue there in Highway 80 going to San Marcos, and we want to continue to find out what's going in there. Texas Task Force 1 sent in a Black Hawk helicopter. They were able to rescue a man out of his truck and bring him to safety. We are told another person is trapped in a house in high water as well. We're getting pictures throughout Austin as well through social media. We have trees down throughout Austin. People are waking up to that. You have more trees here. We don't know if it was a tornado overnight in Austin or straight line winds. The National Weather Service will be tracking that. Somebody actually took video in a parking lot. It looks like some kind of stores here. I can see some shopping carts and some plants tossed around. We got this earlier this morning. We also have pictures of homes that were damaged by some trees. A lot of people lost power. We're trying to confirm how many people. Earlier this morning when I came in around 6 a.m. there were about 4,000 people still without power because of these storms. We also heard some good news that I-35 is now open going northbound out in the Kyle area near San Marcos. That was shut down. They're still trying to open the southbound lanes, or part of the southbound lanes still have a detour. And we just talked to KITV's Adam Rakusin, who says people were challenging these barricades that were put up to get on I-35 southbound. We also want to go back to that rescue here. We have some video of earlier. This is when the Black Hawk helicopter, Task Force 1, came in to do the rescue. You can see them lowering down one of the people that are doing the rescue. You can see right there. They're being lowered down. They're actually rescuing a man who was trapped in his truck in high water. They're bringing him up to the helicopter there. Task Force 1, you know, Starflight was doing water rescues. They suspended that temporarily because they lost one of their own. They brought in Task Force 1. We saw this just a few minutes ago. Now we are told they are going to another rescue. A man trapped in a house in high water right next to this rescue. Texas Task Force 1 is expected to have its hands full today because we are told in Wimberley, one of the first responders says there's going to be a lot of heartbreak today because they just could not get to everybody in Wimberley when the Blanco River went over its banks. They say it's historic flooding in Wimberley. And again, you're looking at pictures where they just made a rescue. It was live on KITV just a few moments ago. A man stuck in his truck on the river off of Highway 80. They pulled him to safety. This is Texas Task Force 1. They are trying to do another rescue nearby, a man trapped in a house. So we'll continue to monitor this as well. Chicago Windler, I think because of all the flooding, we're going to see a lot more of this, sadly, I think.
Absolutely, and I hope that we don't have to get into this situation yet again, but I do want to let you know this is a brand new photo from Sandinst, the Blanco River at Flight Acres Road, where Melanie Torrey earlier during the overnight was reporting over a dozen rescues. He says that the houses here are reduced to slabs. The Blanco River, you can see it right here, and you can see all kinds of debris, all kinds of damage here in this photo from what used to be homes. Apparently the Blanco came so far out of its banks that it has swept some homes totally off of their foundation. These were probably those locations where we heard those early reports coming out of the Wimberley area where people were saying that they were screaming from the tops of their roofs trying to have someone come and rescue them because they became stranded. This, as the light of day, is revealing just how big of a deal this has been. Farther downstream, the Blanco River, we just saw that water rescue live here on KITV from the helicopter near Martindale. Edward Granado was out there earlier. He sent us this video. You can see it not out of its banks at this area near Highway 80, but just look at how quickly this river is moving. Needless to say, you need to respect the power of Mother Nature. I do have some good news for you. That good news would be, aside from the Wood Creek Wimberley area along the Blanco River and down toward the Kyle San Marcos areas and downstream toward Martindale and Staples, these are our final 2 flash flood warnings in place. Everyone else has been cleared from flash flood warnings. Granted, we know that there are still some ongoing flooding issues, as we saw there with that live rescue. The reason we've been dealing with the bulk of the action, the bulk of the problems in Caldwell and Hayes counties is because of this. radar estimated rainfall of 9 to 10 inches in the Blanco, southern Blanco County area. So much rain had to go somewhere. What it did is it couldn't run into the soil because the soil was already saturated. Instead, it ran off into rivers and into streams, and specifically the Blanco River. So the Blanco River goes through Wimberley, it drops down toward San Marcos. The San Marcos River drops down toward the Luling area. So this is an issue that we will be dealing with now, not just today, but for several days to come, because the rivers, as quickly as they rise, which could be in a matter of minutes, it may take days for them to drop back below flood stage. Fortunately, you could see from that photo there at the Blanco River at the Flight Acres neighborhood there in Wimberley that it looks as though the river is back within its banks, but there could still be some locations that are dealing with the residual issues. The good news also, not only have we watched the bulk of the flash flood warnings and the flash flood watch be expired, but we've also seen the heaviest rain push away. And unlike some computer models had been projecting earlier, bringing in even more rain today, our future track computer model seems to be settling things down for today. That's today. This is tomorrow. Severe weather risk for your Monday, the slight risk the entire KITV viewing area. Cannot stress enough, while you catch your breath, while you say, okay, we made it through this, while those folks, unfortunately, down toward Wimberley and San Marcos and Martindale are recovering after such a harrowing experience and historic flooding also in the Kyle area, we can't totally let our guard down. Weather watchers have been expired for our viewing area, with the exception of Mason County, still under flash flood watch, but we could have additional showers and thunderstorms possible into your Memorial Day. I've also done one other thing. You'll notice these dark areas of green stretching through Blanco County up toward Georgetown. These are all of the river flooding areas that we're dealing with. So the San Gabriel River up in Georgetown, this is another area that is currently under a flood warning. We'll likely see some possible minor to moderate flooding as rivers begin to rise. Also in eastern sections of Blanco County, north of Johnson City, you've got another river flood warning, the one we've talked so much about from the Blanco River out toward the San Marcos River in Hayes County and in Caldwell County. And also you can see a good little stripe through areas down to our south into Kendall County as well. So numerous flood warnings for rivers still intact, still in place. Did want to let you know, also good news, I just checked the LCRA, 644 is the level. In the past day, we've gone from 636 to almost 637 all the way up here. That is an incredible recovery. We're actually more full than we are empty for the first time in years. 51% full is the level, and it may have actually just ticked up to 52%. It's going that fast. This is a map from lakesonline.com. It's a really good resource to be able to kind of compare where we've been and where we're going. So this is the blue. The blue is 2015. We were in dire straits, as you know, up until 2 weeks ago when the rain began, and this is what kind of a spike we've suddenly had. This top little area, that's 2012. This is Memorial Day 2012. We are now as high as we were back on Memorial Day 3 years ago. Talk about an incredible recovery. We don't like that it is at the expense of flooding and people's lives and people's homes, but we do like to see these lakes get filled up. Between Lake Travis, which is now up to 51, almost 52% full, and Lake Buchanan, which is rising but not quite as much, it's up to 40% full. You average that out, that gives us a combined storage there of 46% full. It's pretty phenomenal, amazing in fact. We were down at the 38% just 2 weeks ago, and we've come up to 46% full. Just incredible, and those waters are continuing to rise. But as waters rise on the lakes, waters are also rising on a lot of the rivers, and that is keeping the flood map busy. ATXfloods.com. It's been a little while since I checked it, but at last check it was running about 247 closures. Every single red dot that you see, from Brushy Creek in Williamson County, up toward the San Gabriel River up near Georgetown, down through much of Caldwell County, where we were told at one point 61 different road closures in Caldwell County alone, all the way east toward Lockhart, down close to Luling, many out near Martindale area and heading toward San Marcos, Hayes County, San Marcos area especially very hard hit. A lot of closures there. Heading west, this is the Wimberley area here, up toward Driftwood, Dripping Springs, numerous road closures. And now this has expanded a little bit farther toward the east into portions of Bastrop County and in Lee County, especially the far eastern edges of Lee County. Road closures there. The biggest thing that we knew that this was not just your average ordinary rainmaker. We've seen several flood events with 1 to 3 inches or 2 to 4 inches of rain. We had limited flooding. We made it out okay. We saw a little bit of lake recovery. This was a different story. This wasn't 2 to 4 inches here or there. This was 9 to 10 inches in Blanco. And downstream from Blanco is where the Blanco River at Wimberley runs through. It went from 6 feet to 40 feet. The previous record crest for this river was 33 feet back in the 1920s. It went all the way up to 40 feet, at which point the gauge actually stopped recording. The National Weather Service said, you know what, we think it may have broken because of the strong waters. That said, they did still have that projection of seeing this thing drop into the bank and below bank full in a very slow fashion. I'm hopeful that that picture we saw on social media from Flight Acres Park or Flight Acres Drive area, hopefully that's meaning that this river is receding a little more quickly than that forecast there. Blanco River in San Marcos, this one does not have a forecast for how quickly it would fall, but this was up through 5 a.m. It went from 12 feet to 42 feet. There's no better way to remind you that Central Texas is flash flood alley than to show you that in minutes you can rise that much. 12 feet to 42 feet, a 30-foot jump in one river at one point, just like that. Hopefully we don't have to deal with more water rescues. I suspect that there may still be people who do need help. And of course now they've got lots of crews out there. They've got swift water rescue teams. They've got choppers out there that are trying to find those people who need help. Also evacuation centers. Now for Caldwell County, they're sending people to the Luling ISD Gymnasium in the San Marcos area. We've been talking about the initial place for everyone to take shelter being full with so many people, so they had to divert to another location. Out in the Wimberley area, they initially were sending people to the community center, and then that lost power, so then they diverted people to the high school. So a lot of people kind of on their toes, having to make adjustments because of the flooding conditions we've been dealing with. Walt, over you.
Thanks, Chicago. Talking about the power right now, live on the phone we have Ann Harvey with Port Pinellas Electric Cooperative. Can you tell us what is the latest count with people without power?
Good morning. Yes, our crews have been busy working throughout the night. At about midnight, we hit our peak with about 9,800 meters out of power. Our crews have been getting that number down. So right now we're at about 7,000 without power. First and foremost, we're incredibly concerned with the public safety aspects of this, as well as the safety of the crews. So we really appreciate everyone's patience as we take a little bit more time to restore because of those road conditions that you have been reporting. It is just the areas that have hardest hit are, of course, the areas that we serve. We're working as diligently and quickly as we can. We have plans out there. Now that there's daybreak, our crews are going to be able to quickly go out, assess a little bit better than at the night. But we are getting reports that there's major damage in certain areas, like poles down. So we're really hoping that everyone stays away from those types of areas. Please report that to PEC at 888-883-3379. And while, as I know your report just said, there's going to be a little bit of a pause in this weather system, we do have information on how people can be prepared at pec.coop/outages. And also there we have a full dashboard where people are able to go in, and if we have an estimated time of restoration, that information is there. And if we have the information that someone has called in and power is out and it's affecting more than 50 meters, that information is displayed there automatically as well.
And first of all, we have to say we're so thankful for those crews who are out there. They were out there in the dark. They're out there right now trying to restore power. At one point you said 9,800 meters down. And now I guess the real concern is with all of this water, with poles down, they could be dealing with live electrical wires on the ground near communities, and that is very dangerous.
And as I mentioned earlier, the public safety aspects are definitely our first concern, as well as the safety of the crews. So that's why if there is any way that people could be a little bit more patient, we are not going to stop. deploying many more crews. We're going to have probably more than 40 different crews throughout the area. We're calling in as much assistance as we can. And of course, if there's an area that we're seeing where there are things down or extremely public safety, those are where we need to send those crews first, secure the scenes, and then we'll work on some of the normal power restoration. But again, we are not going to stop until everyone has their power back on.
And Ann, I'm sure you get or have to deal with a lot of angry phone calls. And just again, we just need to reiterate to people out there, if you're frustrated and you want the power back on, there are 248 low water crossings that are closed. So even if the crews want to help you restore your power, they can't get to you right now because there are so many roads that are closed. So please, and I guess the word here is patience.
Most definitely patience and understanding, and also just the knowledge that this is something that we're prepared for. We do have our plans in place. Public safety is definitely critical. Safety of our crews is critical. And again, we are not going to stop until that power is back on. Okay,
recap for me again. At one point you had 9,800 meters without power. Where do you think you are about now?
Right about now, we're at the 7,000 mark, so they've been definitely making progress and doing as much restoration as they can. And we're hoping that now that there's daylight, that definitely improves conditions for those crews. As you can imagine, it's definitely difficult dealing with all of the low water and also just the safety working near electricity at night.
Well, Ann Harvey with Pedernales Electric Cooperative, thank you so much for joining us. I know you've had a hectic night, hectic morning. We appreciate all the work those crews are doing in the face of danger, trying to get electricity restored. Again, 7,000 are without power. We appreciate your calling in today, and we'll look for updates throughout the day. Right now, we want to go to KITV's Adam Rakusin, who's standing by live. Next to I-35, they opened the northbound lanes through Kyle. Now they were trying to work on the southbound lanes of I-35 in Hays County. What's the latest?
Yeah, the northbound lanes are still open, traffic moving easily toward Austin. But if you're trying to head south toward San Marcos or even San Antonio, this is the vision that you're going to see. Nobody on Interstate 35. When's the last time you can tell me you saw anything like this, especially on a holiday weekend? We haven't gotten any estimates at this point on when crews plan to reopen Interstate 35. But as you can see directly behind me over here, police are still blocking off the access roads. There's really no easy way. One of the things that we've seen with a lot of drivers down here trying to find a way to get south, they're going around some of these barricades. I know we heard a little bit during the rescue that was happening down in San Marcos about a driver going around the barricades. It's something that we've seen here in Kyle over and over again, people trying to get through that, but you don't know exactly what the roads look like at this point. You don't know where the water is, but they're still trying to do it. Drivers are trying to find their way there, but there's really no easy route. A lot of them are kind of turning around, trying to go in different directions here through Kyle. We're not too far from the Kyle Water Tower, so a lot of people getting mixed up and lost in this area, coming and asking us for directions on what the best way is towards San Marcos. But at this point, that's kind of confusing depending on what road you're taking and what has water over it and what doesn't. A lot of other drivers are just kind of taking their time, stopping at the gas station, getting something to eat. We've seen, if you can take a look across Interstate 35 right now, take a look at the Valero station, gas station over there. You see it's just full with cars. A lot of those vehicles have been here for about an hour and a half, about the same time that we've been down this way. Other people searching for routes on the east side of Interstate 35. We have seen in the past 20 to 30 minutes, though, a helicopter fly over us. Not sure if that was heading down towards San Marcos for any of the rescues going on, but no real traffic heading down Interstate 35. And at this point, Walt, we're not really sure what point southbound is going to open again.
Adam, I don't know if the first responders or DPS have given you any updates on this, but we're dealing with a lot of people out of town who don't know the procedures, who might be challenging these low water crossings and going around the signs, which has got to be a big frustration for them. And you've seen a couple of them do it right in front of you.
Yeah, we're not really sure at this point. A lot of the motorists are from San Antonio that we've talked to that have been up in this direction just trying to get home. Not sure why they're crossing around these barricades. Now, actually, hold on, as I can see this right now, this is the first time we've seen this. A police officer now at this barricade in this residential area, shifting people, telling them different directions to take. There might have been a lot of people crossing through. This is the area that we've seen most people going through, and this is the first time that we've seen them up here actually turning traffic away and making sure people don't go. We're not sure exactly what had happened, but probably about 15 minutes ago, we saw 2 police officers just go blazing right past these signs right here and down Interstate 35. We'd seen a car heading down this way, which was a big no-no. Not sure if they were going after them or if there was another emergency somewhere further south down Interstate 35.
So the message here, just please help these first responders out. If you don't have to drive or get around, don't. 249 low water crossings closed. Also, that picture was so telling. Could we see it again? I-35 southbound, just a ghost town.
Yeah, it's amazing to see something like this, especially on a holiday weekend as you're talking about. And yeah, that's the big message. Don't go past these. There's probably other routes that can get you to your destination, or just take a little bit longer to get there. It is, 7 o'clock in the morning, so there's a little bit of time and not a whole lot of traffic on the road. As you can see heading northbound, there's not a whole lot of cars on the road, so when they do open things up, things will probably get a little easier. But I tell you what, we're not going to cross this line right here, and if you're watching this, please don't cross them. It's just the first responders, instead of being able to get to other people, are trying to stop and help deal with people crossing these access points.
Adam McCruson reporting live for us this morning. Thank you so much. We'll check back in later. Hopefully I-35 southbound is open, but right now first responders have their hands full in the San Marcos area. We just brought you a live water rescue off of Highway 80 near San Marcos. They were trying to rescue a man who was trapped in his truck, who challenged high water, got stuck. These are the pictures from the scene just about 10-15 minutes ago. That's a Black Hawk helicopter coming in to help with this rescue. They lowered a man down. They got the man off the truck. Then they went back up into the helicopter and got him to safety. A lot of frustration on the part of these first responders who are telling everybody, please do not challenge the low water crossings, because they don't want to have to do rescues like this. This turned out okay. They also went to a man who was trapped on his roof at his house because of the high water. These are Black Hawk helicopters that were brought in to help from Texas Task Force 1. We were talking to Trevor Stokes. Now, he's a Pflugerville firefighter. He said he was ready for these rescues because Starflight was grounded for a while, and they still are. We haven't heard of any Starflight rescues going on because they lost one of their own, Kristen McLean, a few weeks ago in the Barton Creek Greenbelt doing a rescue. So this actually might be Trevor Stokes. He says he's the guy that they lower down. They say it's very you know, there are some tense moments when you're doing these type of rescues. This happened about 10-15 minutes ago near Highway 80 on your way down to San Marcos. They're also trying to rescue a man from the roof of his house in this area as well. Chief Meteorologist Chicago Windler, these high water rescues are expected to happen throughout the day because we have not seen flooding like this in, what did you say, Blanco River since 1930 something? 1920s
was the previous high record crest of 33 feet, and in the wee hours this morning it hit 40 feet.
40 feet. So that's what they're saying. We talked to the first responders in the Wimberley area, and they were saying that they fear a lot of rescues this morning and just some sad news. Right now in Wimberley, at Wimberley High School, they have 275 people who were taking shelter there. They actually had to turn people away from the first shelter. That was the Civic Center. They had 70 people there. They lost power.
Lost power, had to regroup and replan.
70 people had to then go to Wimberley High School. KITV's Fred Cantu has a new picture for us from Luling. We're just getting word that this is people in Luling being told to evacuate because of high water and flooding in the area, and that's going to be the issue all day.
Yeah,
right?
That's far southern Caldwell County, and what's interesting is throughout the early morning hours, folks with Caldwell County that were worried about those of you out towards San Marcos and Martindale were telling everyone, go downstream, go to Luling, go to the Luling ISD. That's where we want you to go as your shelter area. Unfortunately, now the waters are catching up with the Luling area in southern Caldwell County, and so they're also dealing with the flooding. This is what we deal with. We always worried about who's next, who's downstream, kind of the same way that we talk about the lakes and, oh, if only it would fall in the right place. Well, unfortunately, it started in Blanco, falling down through the Blanco River. It's now gone through Wimberley, then to San Marcos, then to Martindale, and now we're watching it as is affecting the folks out toward Luling. So evacuations there, people needing to go back to higher water.
We're just getting some developing news now out of the area where they did the first rescue. KITV's Melanie Torrey is standing by live with information on the other rescue. Actually, this is just a picture from the area. This is a tweet from Melanie Torrey, who was out there. It looks like the Black Hawk helicopter is back out again, attempting the rescue of the person in the house. Yes, this is a picture confirmation. They just rescued the second victim who was trapped on the roof of his house because of the high water. This is the second rescue that we've seen in the last 10, 15 minutes. The first one, they rescued a man who was trapped in his truck because of high water. This is the second rescue, a successful rescue. They rescued the person who was trapped on the roof of their home in this area near San Marcos off of Highway 80. We're continuing to gathering all these pictures and information from you. It's been a hectic morning. The first responders have been having to deal with so many rescues. Wimberley High School is a shelter. We also have a shelter that's full in San Marcos. The activity center in San Marcos is full. Don't go there anymore as a shelter. Go to Maria Hernandez Middle School. That's where they're putting all the overflow people in San Marcos.
And down toward Luling, it's Luling ISD Gymnasium there at the school. Hopefully it's on high enough ground because now Luling is getting a piece of the flooding. I want to quickly show you this photo that really tells the story of what happened there in Wimberley. This is a home near the Blanco River on Flight Acres Road, and you can see the devastation. I'm sure as the day wears on, we're going to see more and more reports of just how bad things were. But over the last hour, we've watched the last of the significant flooding wane, with the exception of those rivers flooding, the Blanco River as well as the San Marcos River.
We're wrapping up our live coverage right now. We're continuing to update KITV.com. I think Chicago needs some sleep. She's been up 25 hours
26.
giving us updates. So look for us online, and we'll be back on the air tonight.
Be safe, everyone.